All right, Grand Rising, everyone. This is Ron. It is Saturday, January 24th, 2026, about 10:03 a.m. So we'll get started and see if we have any questions about anything we talked about last week, or anything, if you've given any thought to what Pastor brought up on Monday, or anything with depression or suicide or anything along those lines. And if not, is there anything new that may have touched you this week? Anyone?
Grand Rising family, this is Evelyn. Honor to the ancestors. Pastor Jay, can we talk or go back over the womb that we were talking about last week?
Over to what,
That's my question.
The womb.
The womb, because I know there's a lot of layers to that, but can we recap or either talk about more of the womb?
Yes, we can. Are there any specific questions in regards to that?
No, I just need more clarity about the womb because I've been thinking about it all week. And
I got you. It's one of
yeah,
those things where you got questions and don't know what the questions are right now.
yes, sir, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay. When we talked about the womb, we were not talking about a physical womb. We were talking about the essence of femininity, really, and the the space of nurturing that was created uh, for those for the souls that were going to be clothed in flesh. And we when we talk about the womb, we're also talking about the birth of everything that pertains to us in particular, and other things that we are not necessarily aware of right now. We talk about the birth of consciousness, the birth of desire for the Creator to be wrapped in flesh, meaning in bodies. We're talking about the space from which all mankind emanated. In particular, we're talking about the space from which the children of Akebalon exited, and and exited with the power to create, with the power of life. We are also talking about the space from which the nursery for the children of Akebalon to not only live but to govern. So the womb is, when I see it in my mind, the best way I can describe it is like the horn of plenty. Are you guys familiar with the horn of plenty?
Yes.
Um,
No,
the,
sir.
the horn of plenty is that thing you see at Thanksgiving with all the fruit coming out of the end of it, the fruit and vegetables and stuff coming from the end of it. That's it. Okay, thank you. Um, what I see in my mind is rather than it being round, I see it's oval shaped, and out of it exiting everything that was necessary for us to survive in this earth physically, and be one and continue to be one with the cosmic womb, or be one with the Creator at the same time. And that our being one with the Creator at the same time is what we call the breath. Once a physical body is brought into this earth, it automatically, for lack of a better word, connects with spirituality. If it doesn't, it dies. So when I talk about the horn of plenty, that shape rather. I'm talking about out of that opening, everything came into existence. Now, this is the other part of that. The only thing that resembles a human that came into existence in the beginning was the Cabelonians. And for those who may not know what a Cabelon means, it is we're talking about who we today call Africans. And the Cabelonian, was the only physical being in terms of resembling a human that came from that womb. And it is from the children of Cabelon, that womb, that all humans came into existence. So if I were to simplify it, I would simply say that from the cosmic womb came the ones who were to occupy the Garden of Life, or the Garden of Eden. And they are the gods called Cabelonians. And from them were created all other humans in the earth. And if we look at it that way, then we begin to see more clearly where we are, rather, in terms of creation itself, and how important femininity is in terms of bringing life into this earth. I do better in trying to and help you see it when I can get questions. So that's the best I can do right now. Hopefully someone else can bring some more clarity to it, or at the very least we can get some questions in regards to it. Does that help you, Evelyn?
It does. So let me ask you, did the womb come from source?
The womb is source.
Or source?
No,
Source. Okay, that was my next question. Okay.
the womb is source. Let me explain that to those who may not be familiar with it. We have used so many different terms for what we call source. Source, creator, the Unsolved, the one who was never created but has always existed, the existing one. All of these terms are referencing the source of everything that is. Now you say, but I thought the womb was where we came from. Yes, but everything that brought physicality into the earth is source, the source of everything that's physical. And so when we talk about that, there are different terms used to describe it, because you can't name it, because the characteristics are so varied. There are so many characteristics of it until you can't name it. I want to throw something in that just came to mind about that. When we look at the creation in second chapter of Genesis, starting with verse 7, we see that it says in the first chapter it says God. In the second chapter it says Lord God. It says the self-existing one and Elohim created. That is saying that the one who creates but was never created, along with Elohim, brought into existence, blah, blah, the physical man. So what that's actually saying is that Ein Sof, or the self-existing one, and Elohim brought physical man into existence. So, excuse me. So what we are seeing there is that this word for Lord is not simply a word that's abstract. It's actually a term referencing the one who brought everything into existence, inclusive of Elohim, because Elohim was brought into existence at the same time that the beginning of everything physical were brought into existence. Because the beginning of everything physical that was brought into existence existed spiritually first. And so we are Elohim, but we were spiritual before we were housed in these physical bodies. And we came
Mm-hmm.
directly from the self-existent one. And as a result of coming from the self-existent one, Elohim was clothed in flesh. And when we were clothed in flesh, we had the same characteristics as we did before we became physical. And that is the reason we were able to create physically in our physical image and likeness. That is the reason that we are the guardians and the prime authority in the earth this day. So all of these things are intricately linked together. Whether we talk about the womb, Elohim, everything is linked together. All this happened at once. We talk about it separately as though it happened at different times because we live in a period of time. And this period of time exists for the purpose of us being able to transform all of the humans in the earth so that they have like mind or that they are governed by Ma'at, by the spiritual essence of what truth is. And when humans are, when they adhere to the true essence of what Ma'at is, or the true principles of creation, the true principles of the essence of who created us, it is at that point that we are able to see a, a connection, a unicity between the earth and those who exist in this earth, who live according to the principles of Ma'at. Those who live based upon what they see with their eyes are not living according to spirituality. They are living according to a world that operates in a lower vibration, meaning that if all we are governed by are the laws of this earth as opposed to the laws of spirituality, then that means we continue to vibrate at a lower level, and we never have opportunity to experience the God likeness or the God essence of who we are. And I know I said a lot, and I spoke, made an effort rather to tie all of this together. So I don't know whether I did a pretty good job of it or not. However, I do know that there are some of you guys on who can help me with that, bring some clarity to it by asking questions as well as saying what you see or what resonated or didn't resonate with you. So I'm asking you to do that now, please. Does this resonate?
It does.
It resonates. Yeah, but I have another question.
Uh-huh.
So there's life in the womb, and will we always be in the womb? Is it a continuum?
Or is the womb
That's
continuous?
my question.
Okay. The womb it is a continuum because that which is spiritual cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So that is a continuum that's always available. And that is one of the major reason actually, that what we call acacic consciousness has always been and ever shall be. And there is no descriptor for acacic consciousness in terms of defining it. And there is no way to study it. Then while I'm talking about that, let me hasten to say this. There is no way to study it because just like there is no way to study God, like theology, how you go study what you don't know? That's something that, excuse me, existed before you. How you go study the source? How can you possibly study the Ein Sof? You can't. You have the resonance with it. And what I want to say about that is this. There are some of you guys who actually do research in search of what we talk about. There are things out there you will find. But I promise you, most of what we are seeing now, what we are being shown now, you're not going to find information on it. And I want to make a strong suggestion to you. Whenever you are doing any research trying to look at what we are talking about, if you come across a Christian source, leave it alone. If you come across an Islamic source, leave it alone. We are far beyond the lies that Christianity has promulgated. So I'm saying, yes, if you want to do your research, do it, but do it to learn and not to try to find out whether we are right or wrong, because you're not going to find it there. The understandings that we get comes from the Kasich consciousness. And when Barbara was talking about about depression as well as suicide, Barbara said things that none of us had heard or experienced before. And it did not come from a psychology book. It did not come from book sociology. It didn't come from any of those things. It came from the Kasich consciousness, and it resonated deeply. And what we are obligated to do as a Cabelonians is to embrace what resonates with us, because if we are looking for the sources that's going to please our minds, then what we are doing is looking at sources that has been given to us by those who are ideologues and not spiritual at all. So I say to you, be very cautious in your search. Be like the Ethiopian eunuch. How can I understand unless I have someone teach me? The problem is that we have been convinced that if we can read a book, or if we are got a degree, or we can teach ourselves, and that could not be further from the truth. If that were the case, then there would be no need for teachers, period. And the teachers who teach academically are different than spiritual teachers. Spiritual teachers don't even have to know how to read a book. Spiritual teachers do not teach you things that you don't know. Spiritual teachers bring to your remembrance the things that's been with you all of your existence. And academic teachers teach you a lesson that is designed to control your thoughts and control your actions in this earth. So there is a huge difference between the two. And your investigation or your research into spirituality is totally different than what it would be if we are researching those academic courses that we are given in school. So we have to admonish you to be extremely cautious when you engage in these kinds of teachings. And I want to give you an example, if I may. Let me see first, though, is there a question about what I just said before I give you an example of what I'm talking about? There being no question, then an example of that is this. During the week, I received something from Richard, and in reading it, something else clicked in my mind, and it was just simple words that that we've been reading for years, and one of them was talking about white supremacy, and what clicked in me was this: we have to refrain from using those words, white supremacy, because we are gods. And as gods, we give power to whatever we say. And when we say white supremacy, we are saying that white people are supreme. And you can dress that monkey up any way you want to, it's still going to be the same thing. We are saying that white people are supreme to us, or they are superior to us. White superiority is saying that. And we have to refrain from saying that, because we are given power to their claim to be superior to every human or everything on this earth. That's what I'm talking about. Where did that come from? That simply came from the Akashic consciousness, showing me rather the danger in continuing to use those words, white supremacy or white superiority. So I'm asking each one of you, since I have been saying that for quite some time, and all of us have really, I'm asking you personally to correct me immediately when those words come out of my mouth, because I do not have any desire or intention of giving any life to anything that is as deadly and barbaric as white supremacy or white superiority thoughts. I don't give no life to that whatsoever. We have to take the life from it. And one of the best ways to do it is how we have done it with everything else. Monitor our words and embrace the reality that they are not, they meaning those who claim to be white, are not superior to anybody. As a matter of fact, if we look at the history of it, they are inferior to everything that is spiritual, because they have chosen to be who they are in the face of having opportunity to alter the way they think. They have chosen to remain in the thought patterns that they have created for themselves and forced upon others. Is that clear?
Very.
Crystal clear.
Yes.
Thank you. These are examples of what I'm talking about. Or this is an example, rather, of what I'm talking about when I say we need to be cautious about how we do research and what we embrace. Am I saying don't look for, don't do? No, I'm not saying don't do it. I am saying be careful in how you do it, because if, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but if you are doing the research to see whether we are right or wrong, then why are you here? I'm not saying don't research, but if you're doing it to prove or to prove that we're wrong, or to what's the other word I'm looking for? To
Fact check.
Yeah, to fact check us. Please don't do that, because this is not about facts at all. We don't teach fact; we teach truth. because facts are actually those things that happen in this natural world. Truth are those things that can never change, because those things that were taught as facts for the health of the body years ago turns out to be wrong. But truth never turns out to be wrong. What we thought were facts were not facts at all. So be very careful with that. And I don't want you to feel like that you got to fact check. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, ask the question. But if you're basing it on facts, you're in the wrong place. We deal with truth and not facts. Any questions about the differentiation, or the difference rather, between those two? Okay. The other thing,
I do have one thing. You said I've been thinking about it when you talked about Lord God. And you mentioned God, us being gods, but we're also being the creator as look at the scripture. It made me think about something, and I know I didn't say what you just said, but linking all of that together, the womb, the Akashic consciousness, Elohim, all of that being one. I look at the scriptures and creation it is not describing what was created. It is describing what will be created, what needs to be created. And if you look at yourself as being Elohim and creating God, it is almost saying to me that everything that came from the womb had a feminine quality, and coming into this physical earth is where that separation was made. And what we are in the process of doing is mending that, bringing it back together, that everything is spiritual and was never meant to be duality, was never meant to be split or separated. Example is, as we've talked about, Abraham is not talking about something that he created, a journey he took. He's talking about the journey that God takes to find who he is, find out who he is. Jesus is the steps that we take to become deliverers, to see that we are deliverers. So none of that stuff is speaking history. It is an opportunity to create as you were created and as you were created to be. I mean, that's kind of what I heard in everything you said, or am I off base?
excuse me. Let me see if I'm hearing you clearly. We are brought into this earth to be a continuation of spirituality in physical form. Am I right so far?
Yes.
Okay. And being that continuation of spirituality in physical form, it is incumbent upon us to maintain the unicity between femininity and masculinity.
Yes, we have made, as you talk about being supreme, we have made masculinity supreme and a deity of its own, and it was never meant to be that way.
Right. Oh, you're absolutely right. It was never meant to be that way. When we look at this, what we were brought into this earth to do is to be creators in physical form. In order to be a creator in physical form, we must embrace the reality of who we are, and that is simply because we are in bodies that are physically, biologically different in terms of our organs of procreation. That's the major difference in our bodies. That does not dictate a difference or a separation in masculinity and femininity. This is simply a picture that says that masculinity and femininity are the same, yet they are different. They have the same role, but a different role. We simply see an image of masculinity and femininity, but it does not mean that they are separate. And I know this is probably difficult for us to wrap our minds around. And I see it clearly within and making an effort to paint a picture so you can see it as well. What I'm saying in essence is that if we have a helix, well, let me put it more simple than that. If we have a rope, three strands of a rope intertwined with each other, one strand is feminine, one strand is masculine, one strand is a child. And if we separate that rope, it's simply an image of a sense of separateness of each one of those I just named. Yet they are still the same thing. They're still a rope. So what had happened is this skin, this flesh was wrapped or was filled with masculinity as being a dominant energy in a body that looked like this until it's not. That is the reason when we were talking about gender the other day, it was so difficult. It's difficult to say gender because there are bodies that looks like a male body, but it has feminine energy, and we call it homosexuality. So what I'm saying is that femininity and masculinity are going to be what it is, regardless of what body it is in. So we cannot look at a male and say the male is dominant over the woman simply because his body is stronger physically than that. Because the real strength is not in brute force. The real strength is in spirituality. Is that clear? Or am I talking in circles?
It's clear to me.
Okay. What about everyone else?
It's clear to me also.
Okay.
It's clear to me also.
Thank you. So here we are in this earth. Excuse me. Here we are in this earth, and living in a period of confusion. And the reason we are living in a period of confusion is because we have endeavored to embrace the ideology that separates, or the philosophy that separates masculinity from femininity in definitive ways, with one dominating the other. And when we began to embrace the spiritual essence of who we are, we began to see that there is no dominant force in terms of masculinity dominating femininity. They just have different roles. And I don't like that word roles. However, I can't think of another one to use right now. We just have different obligations, maybe would be a better word, than each other. Different obligations than we have. We have different obligations to humanity than we did, than we do in terms of strength, brute strength. When we look at this spiritually, what we are actually seeing is something that I really did not see clearly until last day or so ago, and that is this. Well, actually today, this particular part of it, we as a group, as gods, we were not called anything. We were not called Nigerians. Nigeria is a word that came from an English woman who never had been to that area, and she actually called it nigger area. Nigeria is actually nigger area. And so we never called ourselves by names. We call ourselves Cushites. That's not the name of a tribe. That is a descriptor of a people, because Cushite means black or Swathi, and Haikupata is not a name of a people. It is the area of our deep spirituality. And Kemite is not our word. It is a word that came from the Greeks, meaning black land. So we really didn't have adjectives to describe us. We were described by others, and the reason we didn't is because we knew we knew that we are the universe itself, and we are God itself, and out of us came all of these other created beings, and at some point, what we did, we allowed the creative beings who were the last in this earth to begin naming everybody in the earth, or everything, giving characteristics to it based upon their sense of being superior, because they were more brutal than anybody else in the earth. But what we find is this, if we really look at it, is that we are truly the only people on this earth who do not have a Neanderthal gene. Even Asians have it, but we don't have it. So there are mutations that took place in the earth, that the mutations that took place in humans in the earth took place after they came into existence, because in order for them to have a gene that's not present in the blueprint for humans, then it had to be a mutation somewhere down the line that took place. We are the blueprint for humans, because every human came out of us. Every what's called race of people came from us. Yet we don't have a Neanderthal gene. So that, if nothing else, distinguishes God from humans, is that gene that's not present in us, that came from a mutation. That doesn't mean that they are inferior to us. That means that we brought them into existence, and as God, it is incumbent upon us to bring order to humanity. And when we are talking about bringing balance, bringing harmony, bringing peace, we are talking about bringing a sense of unified existence amongst humans, and we have not done that. We are in the process of bringing it to a state where it can be manifested. But there are things that we have to understand about ourselves and the environment that we occupy in order for us to live up to who we were created to be. It appears as though everyone knows who we are except us. What we are seeing, and Ron reminded me this morning of a video that Audrey sent that talked about the reality of who we are, and as the black people, who black people are, as they put it. And there are more and more people who are white people who are speaking to the reality of who we are as a people. And the ugly thing about that is this: white people are becoming more and more convinced or educated, for lack of a better term, as to who we are than we are. It is more difficult to get a person who has their roots in a Kabbalah to admit who they are than it is to get a white person to understand who we are. People don't hate us simply because we're black. They hate us because of who we are, not because of what we look like. People don't seek to destroy weakness. They seek to destroy strength. People don't seek to dominate weakness. They seek to dominate strength. They recognize who we are. They cannot control, neither can they extract from us the essence of who we are. So the attempts to control comes by way of intimidation, murder, by way of convincing us that we are less than everybody and everything on the earth. It is not coincidental that we are the most hated people on earth by every group of people on earth, and we are yet the source of everyone or every group of people on this earth, and have brought into existence everything in this earth that has been created. It's called invention, but has been created. So this is an effort to control their God. And there are those who recognize and realize this. And we have been submissive to this control. And the best compliment that can be paid to someone is when you seek to be like them or to emulate them. And what we have done, we have sought to be as they are. We have sought to think like them, to look like them. Everything that they have done to minimize our worthiness in the earth, in the minds of people, we have embraced it. And we've embraced it by virtue of trying to be like them. If they say that we are ignorant, and we began to embrace their sense of what intellect is, then that means that we admitted that we are ignorant, and we really are ignorant of who we are. Notwithstanding the reality that every university on the face of the earth were brought into existence by us. There's no question about that. So we have to get to a place where we realize that the beginning of the demise of our unicity, of our uniqueness in the earth, excuse me, the beginning of the end of our uniqueness in the earth came with the explorer came into Africa, or came into Kabbalah, and the next thing that followed was Christianity. Now, you say, you're always talking about Christianity. Yes, I am. I'm always talking about Christianity. And I make no apologies for that. Yes, I am talking about quote unquote race, because I don't like that word, but that's how we understand it. Yes, I am. Everything is about race. And in order to keep people from telling the truth, you say to them, you're always playing the race card, and in an effort to make them feel uncomfortable about telling the truth. But that doesn't work with me. I'm going to say it whether or not anybody embraces it, because it is the truth. The first effort was this. The first thing that Christianity did was tell us, in order to be a human, in order to be saved, you have to change your name. They gave us Christian names. James is a Christian name. Barbara is a Christian name. Every name that we have is a Christian name. Why is it that I have to change my name from Nkrumah to James? Why? If I take your name away from you, this is the first step of taking your identity away from you. When I take your name away from you, I begin to talk about human history and began with humans in the earth 10,000 years ago. And we've heard that forever, but not paid it any attention. Between 8 and 10,000 years ago, that is when Europeans came into the earth. But if you listen at them talk, it clicked with me. I listened to the news the other day on CBS News, and this guy was talking about this cow who could use tools to scratch itself. And then he said that at the beginning of human history, about 10,000 years ago, maybe we missed something. So what he is saying in essence is there is no human history beyond Europeans. That sounds simple, but that is another subliminal message telling us that our history does not exist, and there is no history that exists beyond 10,000 years ago. Changing the name again is the beginning of taking your identity, and Christianity is the ideology. It is not a spiritual thing at all. It is an ideology that is designed to take the identity away from children of a Babylon in particular. Would you hold for 1 second, please? What the I'm sorry about that. It is taken, the name is taking the identity away from us. And then when you tell us that human history started 10,000 years ago, now that erases the 700 plus years that the Moors were in Spain. That erases the reality of Eskimos being Moors who were in Alaska hundreds of thousands of years ago. That takes away all of the history of everything that happened in a Kabbalah long before there was a Europe. And to this day, the same playbook is being used when I named our children. I gave them Swahili names, and in giving them Swahili names, I was highly criticized for doing that. What kind of names are those? And I will not say to you what I said to some of the people who asked those asinine questions. So we are at a place now where it is imperative that we stop showering white men in particular with superiority. We are in a space now where we have to begin to embrace the essence of who we are. We are not we are not Nigerians. We are not Ghanaians. We are Africans. I'm sorry, we are Cabelonians. I heard Farrakhan was delivering a speech, and he says, "You are not an African American because Africa was named after Afrikaner somebody, which is the European, and America was named after America Vespucius, which is European. We have always been here. We are the children of a Kabbalah, and we must embrace that. Now, does it take everyone to do it? No, it doesn't, because there are going to be people who look like us who will die as mere men. What is that saying? It is saying that your mindset determines whether you are man or God. Your mindset is not that of the children of a Kabbalah, then you are a mere man. And if you choose to die as a mere man, that's on you. However, understanding that it doesn't take 1,000 people to do anything. Why is that? Because if there is one person who has embraced the essence of being who they were created to be, one African or one Cabelonian, embracing that the reality that I am Elohim, I'm God. That means that all of the essence of the cosmic womb, that means that all of the understanding of the Akashic consciousness is wrapped up in that one person. It's not wrapped up in that body. It's simply saying that the spiritual unicity between the cosmic womb, the Akashic consciousness, this person recognized that, and they are that. So the reason it doesn't take 10 people is because it's not about individual people. It's about a consciousness that supersedes numbers. So when we ride down the highway and we see all of these tens of thousands of people, when we look at the number of people in the earth and we say, how is it that we can even think that we are able to influence these people? That's because we are looking at ourselves as humans. That's because we're looking at ourselves as individuals. We are not individuals. We are a collective. We are spiritual essence that lives in a in individual bodies. Yet we are still one, and that is the reason why Elohim means one yet many. The many are the different personalities that house the body. The one is the unicity of the spiritual essence that we are. So we cannot look at it in terms of one person influencing a billion people. No, it is the consciousness that this entity in that body has embraced, and that consciousness of who it is embraces everything that we were created to be. And if it take that one who embraces everything that we were created to be, then that is all it takes to change the mindset of humanity. If but one will you save the city. If just one who believes, one who holds to the essence of who we are, one who knows who it is, one who is guided by the Akashic consciousness, one who knows the ancestors guide us, one who knows the origin of our being, one who understands our mission, then that is all it takes for us to accomplish the goal and bring into manifestation the reality of what we were brought into this earth to do. Are there any questions or comments?
Grand Rising, everyone, Pastor. Again, I appreciate, our session this morning. And as you spoke about, is there just one? I believe that, it ties into what we've been saying, to know self. I'll just use an example in Philadelphia this week that was really appalling to me, was that the African American history at the President's House at Independence Hall, they removed all of the historical significance of slavery. When we talk about celebrating 250 years, as a nation, and for them to remove the historical documentation, it just, really, kind of made me realize the importance of what we're talking about today in terms of the womb seed in the blackness of the dark universe. And so even though they may remove that, but to know the truth is what I'm really just trying to emphasize in terms of us having the opportunity to teach our children, to teach humanity. And again, it was so many Caucasians, who were really angered about moving it, because if you ever been there to see what significance of that was, when you speak of Christianity, it made me think about, again, St. George United Methodist Church, which I attended the United Methodist Church in the past, and they talked about Mother Bethel, which is an African, church, here in Philadelphia. But to see that be removed from Philadelphia, in terms of Independence Ball at the time that they're going to be celebrating, I think that it's no coincidence that we're still, speaking about the importance of truth. Not facts, as you said, but truth. And I think that it's our accountability as Elohim to be able to know self. And I think this all ties into, the womb that I think Evelyn was talking about, in terms of that womb seed. So in the creation story, we know how the Spirit of God moves, over the deep of the darkness. And so I don't think it's no coincidence. So I just wanted to share those thoughts because I think it's relevant to what we're seeing and hearing, in, the United States. I just wanted to share those thoughts. Unless there's any comments.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Something came to me while you were speaking. The removal of the images, the messages of enslavement. What came to me is this. That's the best thing that ever happened. Because what it does, it forces us to see beyond slavery. It forces us to see what was. But not only that, it gives us a different kind of image. The messages that remind us of having been enslaved, it's a message of bondage. Removing the message of bondage from our eyesight removes it, in a sense, from our thoughts and gives us the space to see that we are spiritual beings, no different than us being invisible in the streets while the protests are taking place. We are invisible in the streets, but we are there. And our being there is by virtue of what we do every day. And that is function as the spiritual beings that we are in order to bring a manifested peace to humanity. And our bringing a manifested peace to humanity is not because they see us in the streets, but they feel our presence everywhere. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
And I never would have seen this, George, if you had made that statement, those statements rather. Even though we don't look at the back that with whips from a whip, we don't read the accounts of the slaughters that took place. All of those things are removed from our sight. And now we cease to see ourselves with eyes. Now we see ourselves with the eye. Because what was put before us is a distraction. We know who we are historically. And when we remove the distractions that we have held dear to, we began to see more clearly the spiritual essence of who we are. It matters not if they take a bulldozer and destroy the African American Museum in D.C. It doesn't matter. It removes from us something that we've held dear to, And we have held tighter to bondage than we have to reality. We have held on to enslavement tighter than we have ever held on to or sought freedom. During the period of time when we were the ones who managed the earth, who created kingdoms, who made sure that humanity was taken care of, all of those things we have not held dear to. We have not held as tightly as we have held slavery. So what I'm saying in essence is, it's time for us to hold on to who we are from beginning, as opposed to the enslavement that we experienced to bring us back to a sense of beginning. Does that resonate so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We are the divinity in this earth. Enslavement was a physical thing that forced us to search for our divinity. If we look at this through our eye, what do we see? We see that enslavement was a period that really was designed to destroy our sense of humanness. And what it actually did was destroy our sense of divinity. And in the face of all of this destruction, we did not stop to think that the only way that we could survive what we had gone through and is going through is because we are divine. There is no way that we could start with 0 cents and build towns that exceeded the towns and cities that were constructed, or that were managed rather, by the enslaver. That's the divinity. So rather than seeing this as bondage, let's see it as what it sought to destroy, and that is our divinity. Yes, our bodies were brutalized, but our essence was still intact. We just forgot it because of the pain that we suffered. And now that these things are being removed on the surface, it is an attempt to remove us in our sense of self from existence in this earth, especially in this country. When in reality, it is saying that thou shalt not create an image of God. The essence of our being is not the bodies that were broken and tattered. The essence of our being is not in those photographs and messages. The essence of our being is in what we cannot see with our eyes. It's in what we embrace with our eye. That's the essence of our being. That's the reality of who we are. Is that clear? Is it resonating?
Yes.
I'm asking for feedback.
Yes.
Yes.
Resonates.
Thank you. Understand something. I'm saying this as a person who has dealt deeply into our history and understanding of the history of us in relationship to the rest of the world. Yet, I see it for what it has been up until this period. It causes us to see ourselves as humans who were dehumanized, as opposed to seeing ourselves as divine beings who were crucified. Now we are resurrected. And being resurrected, we don't need the images that were projected or that projected us as mere men. We are who we are, and that is divine beings who cannot be seen with the eyes, can only be recognized with the eye. Questions or comments?
Yeah.
And George, thank you for bringing that to mind.
No, I appreciate it because I think it helps us to appreciate not only where we are, but looking at the fact that as spiritual beings, first, we have taken on these earthly vessels, these bodies, but I think what's so imperative is that when we look at it in physical evolution, in terms of the physical form, I think that this is so strongly penetrating my soul because I'm just going to read this out. I want to know me. I want to know me. I want to know who I am. I want to think, see, hear, smell, and feel, but I cannot because I am spirit. So we know that we're spirit beings, but now to be able to see it where we're in this potential rest in this internal space, but it said I want to be and continue to become so that I can know that I am who I am. So I am the creator who will know that I am the creator, but the only way to know is to come through physical form. And so I think that's the desire, that we have is to know thyself, but to be able to appreciate that thought in our mind, created a desire in our heart. And when our desire spoke word, then word became flesh. So again, for me, and hopefully for others, that desire to know thyself. And I believe that this is the supreme rising that we're now experiencing because we're able to see it, from the awesomeness in terms of who we are. Again, thank you for letting me share. I'm done.
Thank you. When you first sent that to me during the week, I felt some kind of way. When you mentioned it a few moments ago, the Akashic Consciousness showed me what I just spoke. And what you just read, I want to know me. That's the essence of what I've been trying to say for the last few moments. Knowing me is not knowing what those pictures depict, because that's not who I am. I'm not a slave. I am divine. I am God. I'm not a mere man. I am God. Remove those images from my sight so I can see me. Remove those images from the sight of my people so they can see who they are. Take away the distractions that causes them to limit their view of self, that causes them to minimize the essence of the history in this earth, that causes them to see no further than the edge of this country, the shores of America. Remove those images so that I can close my eyes and see more clearly. I can close my eyes and look into the mirror and see the self that I am. And when I see the self that I am, I see the self that all of us are. And if you can only see the self as to who you are in physical images, then those who are able to see self in spiritual essence are the ones who brings into manifestation the freedom for humanity, because they are the ones that we brought into the earth. They came from our womb, our seed, and they are looking to us even in their evil ways. They are looking to us for deliverance, and no one can deliver them except God. We are their deliverance, and their cries to us, where are the black people? Not where are the Nigerians, not where are the American blacks, where are the Kemites, where are the black people, where are the Cushites, where are they? They are not out here. The reason they say that, because they see with their eyes and they don't have their option at seeing with eye. They see with their eyes. They see we're missing. But there are those who are beginning to see with the eye, meaning that they see beyond the blackness of the skin. They see beyond the the narrative of enslavement, the narrative of being less than. What they see is the divine essence of who we are. And they are not denying that we are divine. We are the only ones who have been doing that. And I am saying right now, without regard to anybody who look like us, who desire to be separated from us, without regard to that, we are still who we are. And guess what? You will not stop what we are doing. You will not be able to stop the transformation of what's taking place. You will not be able to survive as long as you have that mindset, because you are going to die as mere men. In other words, you're going to die with the mindset of those who have enslaved your mind and your body, as opposed to bringing life to them, as well as realizing you are life yourself. And I'm very grateful to the ancestors for the guidance that we are receiving and shall forever receive. I am grateful to those whose shoulders we stand upon, whose backs were bruised, whose brains were manipulated. I am grateful for those who chose to give up their physical life so we could have a spiritual life, a spiritual essence of who we are. I am grateful to those of you who have made a choice to stand 10 toes down with the ancestors without having to see a picture of us enslaved, without having to read a passage in a book of our enslavement, without having to be reminded that it was the Babylonians who civilized the world. Without having to be reminded of that. Simply being reminded of who we are is enough for us to carry out the mission that has been set upon our shoulders. We are the ones who have chosen to shoulder the burden for humanity, so that humanity can see with a clear eye that God has never left them, even though they have sought to brutalize and to render God extinct. God has never left them. We are here. We are not here to destroy them. We are not here to hate them. We are here to deliver them. That's who we are. I'm done, unless there are questions or comments.
Arshay.
Shay.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Pastor, this is powerful. I don't know if anybody's feeling what I'm feeling, but this resonates so deeply. And you know, when things resonate with me deeply, I want to cry because it touches my soul. And I appreciate, oh my God. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Same here, Evelyn. I'm feeling it like you just almost described. But yeah, it's like so uplifting and I mean it's like my soul coming to life, or I don't know how to describe it. But anyway, yeah, I'm feeling it.
Thank you.
But that's the difference. We're now in this era of resonating and really experiencing the vibration and the unity with the universe.
Yes.
And that's what we're feeling. It's that resignation. I'm sorry, that resignation that puts us in sync with the vibes of the universe. And so I appreciate George bringing that up as well. And I appreciate what you said, Pastor, because while the nooses in the museum in Alabama are poignant, I understand and I see that what you're saying is that that's not who we were. And so even though we're going to see more of this, quote unquote, world's definition of what desecration is, because that's what I thought about when George first talked about that, the desecration. It's not a desecration. It's pulling down the image of what people saw as what Africans are and were. And that image is limiting. And when you limit the image, that's what the mind sees, and that's the limitation of what the mind understands. But the eye, as Pastor has said, doesn't see that image. That is a limitation to the eye. And when you tear that down, when you remove it, what is created is the space for truth to vibrate and to resonate with people as to who we truly are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That removed the scales from our eyes. I'm done.
Okay. Anyone else? I don't want to cut anybody off. Good stuff. I agree with you. This has been quite liberating. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll just pause here and meditate on this and resume tomorrow at 11 a.m. Be careful this evening. It's weather's supposed to get bad, at least on this side on the East Coast and halfway across the country, actually. Just be careful and
Stay at home.
yeah, as much as we can, stay at home. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.